If you've been alive for any amount of time, you've suffered. I mean, we were born into this world crying, not laughing. But have you ever had something really bad happen? Something so bad it just leaves you stunned. And you're left with this question, how could this happen, right? How is this possible? Why is there evil in this world? Let's consider. Hello, philosophers. I'm Chico, and welcome to the Philosopher Show, where we consider the greatest questions of human history. I have a quote that I really like from a guy named G.K. Chesterton. I'm going to read it for you because I don't have it memorized. The real trouble with this world of ours is not that it is an unreasonable world, nor even that it's a reasonable one. The commonest kind of trouble is that it's nearly reasonable, but not quite. Life is not an illogicality, yet it's a trap for logicians. It looks just a little more mathematical and regular than it is. Its exactitude is obvious, but its inexactitude is hidden. Its wildness lies in wait. And to me, that quote is very striking. You know, when I look at the world, I don't see just utter chaos. I don't see things that just make zero sense whatsoever. I see things that make a lot of sense, and yet I also see that they don't quite make sense, right? They get close, but I don't know. I see the way things should be, and I see that they're not that way. Evil is the most striking way, and reality seems like that. And let me give you an example. About a year and a half ago, I had a good friend, Patrick Steele, P. Sizzle, I used to call him. And I was the only one who did. Poor guy. I know it got him annoyed, but I just love calling him that. Patrick was quadriplegic. He was in college doing a skit with friends, and they were horsing around, and he fell. You know, nothing egregious. He wasn't doing anything crazy, but he fell. And a friend of mine that was there, I wasn't there, said that, you know, just looked like any other fall, but he was paralyzed afterwards. He broke his neck. Went through years and years of pain, like 20 years of pain, something like that, of constant pain. His life was just about pain management after that point. He actually had a son afterwards. He got married after that and had a son. And I met him because he was leading my Bible study. He was always struggling with different pain management, and so he would be on one kind of narcotic and on another. And do not judge him for this, right? Because you know the kind of pain this man was in. At one point, he wanted to try to get off of some of the narcotics so he could hopefully get some other kind of way of he really wanted to be fully with it and not have to rely on these drugs. They were all prescription, all right? A doctor recommended a procedure where they put him in a coma for a few days, and then he comes out of it and he's not as addicted as he was. And they put him in the coma, and he just never came out of it. And it was really difficult. His son was, I think, 11 at the time. I don't know his wife and son. I don't know how. It just seems like crazy. You know, we went to the funeral. And I remember meeting up with my buddy Dave there, and both of us were just dumbfounded, just struck with it. Like, we kept asking the question, how is this possible? Patrick was here like a couple days ago. We met with him, right? How is it possible that he's just not here anymore? How is it possible that his son, we could see him sitting up in the front because we were kind of in the balcony because we were late, as we always are. And I could see him, and just thought about my own son, and who is his same age. And I don't know, it just didn't make any sense whatsoever. It was shocking. And in that kind of scenario, you can't help but ask, why did these kinds of things happen? How is this possible? Why is there evil? In this video, we're going to explore different possible kinds of answers to this question, why is there evil? And this video is actually going to be the beginning of a series where I'm going to look at these different possibilities a little more in depth, look at good reasons for believing them, objections to them, and what are the implications of all the beliefs. But let's start with the first one. This idea, this problem of why is there evil, is most starkly seen in the worldview of theism, which is the belief that God exists. And I say most starkly because it's just sort of laced with these more difficult questions, like why would God allow these kinds of things to happen? It seems like he could prevent these things. At any time he could prevent bad things from happening to you, and yet he doesn't. Why is that? In fact, some people go so far as to reject the belief in God because of this sort of paradox of evil. And in theism, this is named the problem of evil. And there are actually a number of responses to the problem of evil, and we'll go over some of those responses in upcoming videos. But really, for right now, we're worried more about this kind of response. what is it that we're looking for here? When I ask the question, why is there evil, and I'm a theist, what kind of an answer am I looking for? Specifically, when I say, why would God allow evil? Well, when I ask that question, I'm asking it about an intelligent agent, God. So it's not the same as the kind of question like, why does a rock roll downhill? You know, that's an inanimate object. It can't help but roll down the hill. But when we're talking about intelligent agents, agents with some kind of a will, and we ask that why question, we're really looking for a purpose. You know, for example, like, why does a jazz musician allow missing notes in her song? The jazz musician obviously knows what the song is talented enough to play it the standard way, and yet chooses to leave out notes. Why? What purpose would a jazz musician have in doing so? That's the kind of answer we're looking for when we ask the question, why does God allow evil? So, possibility number one, the first kind of answer that we can get is that evil exists for some purpose. And of course, this kind of a response assumes that there is some kind of intelligent being that is in control of the universe. And the big question we're going to have to answer here is such a purpose even possible? That's really the problem of evil right there. Can God really have some kind of purpose for evil? Okay, but let's say you're trying to answer this question, why is there evil, and you don't believe in God. So there can be no purpose. You know, no intelligent being behind allowing evil, so there's no purpose behind allowing evil. In this case, the why is there evil question might be like the why is there water on the outside of my cup question. You know, you can answer it by saying, well, it's condensation, right? The water vapor in the air hits the cold cup and it decreases the temperature of the water vapor and turns it into a liquid state. That's why your cup is sweating. This is the basic idea behind karma. Evil is suffered as the recompense for some evil action. So, why did Patrick die? Well, he must have done something wrong. And it's more of a natural law than a punishment, really. It's like every action has an equal and opposite reaction kind of an answer. Every evil action has an equal and opposite evil action that you receive. And questions about whether karma is actually value-laden, and questions about reincarnation and all those things, we'll save those for later videos again. But for right now, possibility 2, the existence of evil is always an effect of prior, often seemingly unrelated evil actions. And the big assumption here is that there is some kind of a law-like connection between your actions and the things that happen to you. The big question that we're going to want to answer here is, how do we explain seemingly undeserved punishment? Seemingly undeserved evil things that happen to us. But again, we'll get to that in upcoming videos. A third possibility. Let's say you're asking this question, why is there evil? And you're not going, you don't believe in God. You also don't believe in this karma law-like connection between your actions and the things that happen to you. But if there's no purpose and there's no, natural law kind of a thing going on there, well, then there's no explanation at all. Imagine a cheeseburger just appeared out of nowhere into reality, and you ask the question, what caused that, right? And the person next to you says, oh, nothing, just popped into existence. What? How's that possible? Typically we're looking for some kind of either like somebody did this with some reason, or we're saying that, there's some kind of physical law that causes this, that forces this kind of thing to happen. Saying that nothing caused this whatsoever is worse than magic, right? In magic, at least you do something to cause whatever happens, but things happen totally uncaused. There's just no explanation whatsoever. It's an absurd thing. So when we ask the question, why is there evil? The answer is really going to be, there is no possible answer. Sure, evil exists, but it's a totally absurd thing. So possibility number 3, the existence of evil is absurd. Now, the big assumption here, of course, is that absurd things are possible. The big question we're going to have to answer for this possibility is, why believe that absurd things are possible just right now, right? How is that not begging the question? If you think about it, we never allow for absurd things. We think that everything is explicable using science or using some kind of philosophy, something, right? And yet now we're saying, here's one thing that we just can't explain. It exists, but there's just no explanation for it whatsoever. Not just that we are so limited that we'll never get to an explanation. Not just that there's an explanation, but it's just always going to be beyond us. We don't have the faculties, but there just is no explanation. Why would we believe that right now when we've never believed that for anything else in the universe? And our final possibility. Let's say you're asking the question, why is there evil? You don't believe in God. You don't believe there's this law-like connection, this karma between your actions and the things that happen to you. You also don't believe in absurd things, so you don't believe that evil exists and yet it's inexplicable. Well, no purpose for it, no law-like connection, no non-explanation. Really, this is nothing then. Now asking the question, why is there evil, is like asking, why is there a lake in the middle of the desert? And really it was just a mirage. It appears like something, but it's actually nothing. So possibility 4, evil doesn't exist. For this possibility, the big assumption is going to be that a lack of explanation constitutes evidence of non-existence. Why I think because we just can't explain something that it just can't exist. This view is the view of a hard skeptic that's going to say that, I haven't been convinced by the theist, I haven't been convinced by the karma guy, I haven't been convinced by the absurd guy, so therefore this thing must not exist. Well, why believe that they can't convince you that it can't exist? Maybe there are reasons we just don't know about. Why think that this is evidence of non-existence? The big question for this view is going to be, how do we explain the phenomenology of evil? In other words, why did it appear to us to be evil? And for all these questions, I'm not saying that there aren't answers. I'm just saying that this is the question that we're really going to have to ask here if this is going to be our answer. So there you go, your 4 possible kinds of answers. 1, there's some purpose for evil. 2, there's some law-like connection that results in evil. 3, there's just no explanation of evil. 4, that evil doesn't exist. What's interesting though? We don't typically ask the question, why do good things exist? Even if you don't believe that evil exists, at least that question pops into your head. Why is this kind of evil thing here? But we never ask that question, why are good things here? Maybe we just don't notice them, right? Maybe it's like you don't notice light until you turn off the lights and it's dark. Maybe you don't notice the good until the evil happens. Then you're like, oh man, we had it so good. Maybe good is just the way things should be, so you don't notice that nothing's off. Maybe it's just as mysterious as evil and we just happen not to notice. I don't really know. Just an interesting note. I'm not really going anywhere with it. I'm not kind of secretly maybe you should be. I'm just saying, it's interesting. We don't ask that question. I don't know why. But notice also how far-reaching this question is of why is there evil. When I asked that question about Patrick, why is there death in the first place? Really, I'm asking this question, but a more localized version of it, right? I'm asking, why is there this evil death? Or when I ask, why do people suffer? I'm asking, why is this thing that shouldn't happen? I'm asking about evil. Why is there this evil suffering? Even when I ask, why do people do bad things? That's a question about evil. Why is there this evil in the world? People doing bad things. Even questions like, why are there flies? Flies suck, right? I absolutely hate flies. And sometimes I wonder, what are these things doing here? And you can give me all kinds of answers, but hey, bees pollinate just as well as flies do, and they make honey. So what's the point of flies if they're just gonna vomit on my food? I don't know if you knew that's how they digest. That they're evil, right? They are evil. The final thing to note about evil that's interesting about it comes from that last part that I was talking about when we were at that funeral and we were feeling that shock. Typically we go about our day in the world of work, as Josef Pieper calls it, right? We're in this mundane world where we're just getting stuff done, right? And it's not until certain things happen that kind of shock us out of our everyday, that force us to deal with reality in a philosophical way, right? In a sense of wonder. We think whoa, how is this possible? Of course, this is not the kind of wonder we would want. And this is also not the only kind of wonder, right? This is not the only kind of what philosophers have called existential shock. You can have this experience with art. You can experience an art piece that's so profound and so beautiful that it just makes you sit back and be like, how can this kind of beauty exist? Is this the point? Is this what we're supposed to be doing? Those are all philosophical questions. Or you can have this kind of experience when you fall in love. The first time you're just like, I can't believe this person. And it's really like you and I, and we're connected in this way. What? What is this? These kinds of things will shock us out of our everyday existence into looking at the world in a more profound way, where we philosophize. And then, of course, you can't live there. Unless you're a philosopher, you have to go back to work, or else you can't eat. But hopefully you agree that it's a good thing to be able to sit back and look at the world in different perspectives and think about it, think about the purpose and meaning and all those kinds of things. And I'm not saying, hey, this is the reason for evil. I'm not saying that at all, right? I'm not even saying that this is a reason for evil. I'm just saying that notice that this is one interesting thing about evil. It's one of those sort of inroads to philosophy. It's one of the things that first get us going into these things. If everything happened great, hunky dory. If I like to surf, if the surf was perfect all the time, I probably would never ask questions. I probably would never think about the world. It's those moments when I'm just like, oh my gosh, how can this be happening? What is the point of all this? Like, what is my life? Those are the points where we start to philosophize. So that is all I have by way of introduction to this question about why is there evil. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you have any friends that you think that might be interested in this topic, please tag them. Also, please subscribe and hit that bell. I don't even know I should know what that thing is called, right? Whatever it is that alerts you to my new videos coming out, because I think that we're going to get some really interesting stuff here on this question of evil. So please subscribe, and that's all I got for today. I'll see you next time. Adios.